everybody. This is Michelle from Champions for Our Children, and we have a very, very, very special guest tonight. I came across him on somebody else's podcast, and I said, oh my gosh, we must have him. I'm calling him the trifecta because he is male. He is a BCBA, which that alone is a dynamic duo combination. It's always nice. There's a lot of boys in our program, specifically a lot of boys on the spectrum. So it's nice to have a teacher that is male, that's also a BCBA, and he's a trifecta because he happens to be an adult with autism. So I wanted to introduce Armando. He is new to our community. He has his own podcast he's going to tell us all about. And I have lots of questions for him about his life and how awesome it sounds like it's going right now. You're getting married in September. So welcome, Armando.
Yes, thank you so much for having me tonight.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I want to know all about you. So I want you to tell us what you were like, how old are you, where you're from, tell us like about you as a baby, like what your parents told you, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I am 28 years old. I am a board certified behavior analyst, but I was also diagnosed at a young age, at the age of 3. It's funny. So one thing my parents always told me was that the doctors at the time of the diagnosis told them that I might as well learn sign language because I'm never going to learn how to speak. And now I host a podcast. So it's very ironic in that situation. And growing up, things were very difficult behavior wise and social wise. I still suffer from some things today. It's just in a more positive light, and I have more self-regulation than I did before. I jokingly say, if you ask me, I was a perfect child. My parents probably don't think so. So with my mother and my family, we grew up very poor. We didn't have a lot of support, or a lot of like ABA therapy was not something we took part in because we could not afford it. And so my mother went to libraries to find new things about autism or different kinds of interventions. At the time, this was in the 90s. It was still, as looking back now on like the history of ABA and all the stuff I know about autism now, it was very difficult to find information back in the 90s, or at least more diagnoses than what is currently present. If you look today, the CDC says that 1 in 44 kids are diagnosed with autism. That was not the case in the 90s. And there wasn't any Facebook, any kind of social media. And so I grew up very alone. I did not have the social aspects I did now. I didn't know anyone else with autism. It was just me, my diagnosis, my family, and, people I met through middle school, elementary, and high school. A lot of it, as I spoken to you about, was a lot of masking. I was like, okay, let me fit in. It was all about fitting in, right? And not being able to be someone different, because if you had a diagnosis like me, or if you were different, everyone just looked at that. Okay, that was a way of like really getting at somebody. I was in the life skills class. I was nonverbal for some time with my family, and I still vaguely remember this as well. I didn't really speak a whole lot. I would say sounds for words. So I would say like bzz, bzz for like a bee or a bug, or I would say choo choo. And this is at 4 or 5 years old, and typically kids speak at that time. And so that was my form of communication, and through speech therapy, through interventions my family made, and a couple of bumps on the head, as my mom says, during that time, I was able to learn a little bit more. But I really chalk up a lot of who I am today to my family, to the friends that supported me, and my very loving fiance who is still deals with everything I do now. And I have positives. I have, cute quirks, as they would say, like hand flapping is cute for her because she's like, oh, that's how I know you got a good Christmas gift, or that's how I know I got you a good gift, things like that. But there's still some things I still struggle with. If things get really difficult, if there's social changes, or if there's changes in my schedule, I try to be as flexible as possible. But, sometimes I had self-injurious behavior growing up, and I still do at times. It's still more self-regulated, but if I didn't learn something fast, I would hit myself with a textbook, or I'd hit myself with something just to feel better about things. And that's the part of my autism that I don't speak a lot about, but I wanted to try and be more open and more transparent, that I still have those difficulties, but thankfully, because of the support system I've been given, it's easier to cope with because I have others to look at for social involvement and social cues.
Okay. So I just want to back it up a little bit. You said a lot of really good things I have follow-up questions for, but the first thing I want to back up to is what made mom and dad bring you to the doctor and say when did something, were you hitting milestones and then you stopped? What did it look like before they took you to get the diagnosis?
It was a regression for sure. And this, I mean, obviously I don't remember, 2 or 3 years old. This is my mother's tale. This is my sister's tale, things like that. It was a regression of skills. And they were like, you should be talking, or you should be doing this and that, that they knew their friends have, or that their friends would tell them about. And so I went to the doctor, and it was diagnosed in that sense, in addition to a speech disorder that I had as well. That was also, from what I understood and what they told me, was also like, if you have autism, it's likely that this is a potential speech disorder that you possibly could have as well. It was verbal dyspraxia. And for my father, it was more of a denial. And he was like, no, he'll grow out of it, or he'll do things like that. I'm sure that a lot of your families can relate to that. I mean, that's typical. Nobody wants to hear the child's not perfect. And my father was no different in that sense. My mother was like, no, something's not right. And my sister is older. And so she was 11 years older. And so they had her to compare my progress with. And so my sister and to this day has still been more of a parent figure to me than like a sister, because she had to take care of me. She was the one that was to watching me and making sure that I was doing okay, because we, again, wasn't very rich. So both parents had to work, or they were both doing different things. And so she was left taking care of me. And with this regression of skills that I had, thankfully my mother jumped to action. And I know that there's some parents that, don't do that because they either don't have the knowledge, or they're not as fortunate. And so I've been very blessed to have that ability. And I've been very thankful to be able to work with the parents I do now and to support them how I can.
So looking back at your parents, because this is a lot of what my program focuses on, is that how what parents believe about the diagnosis can make or break the outcome that the child could potentially have. I know that's what I felt. I felt a shift in me when my thoughts changed about my daughter's future. So looking back on your parents, we had your mom, who was very gung-ho, ready to do anything she needed to support you, and your dad was kind of like struggling with it. How did they kind of come together to, I guess, bridge the gap, so to speak, to get you what you needed?
I think it was finally just them realizing that, or at least my father at least realizing that there's something that wasn't going to be fixed. Why is he not talking? Why is he not, relating to others? Why is he not interacting with kids at that time? And I mean, I guess it would really probably hit him when I got into the life skills program, and it was finally like, he needs some help. And so I remember I would be more in the life skills where I was with these kids. And I have pictures in the yearbook where I was with, it would say life skills, or I would be with other, like my best friend was in a wheelchair, and they also had like more severe autism at that time. And so I would be there. And finally my father came around, and it was more of just getting us to relate more. We didn't really get along as well. And looking back, I don't think it was like, oh, we didn't like each other. It was more of just like a misunderstanding of what each other were looking for. And I relate some of it to just a lack of understanding overall. Like my father didn't graduate from high school. I think from what I remember, he dropped out in 7th grade. Wasn't big and educated, very brilliant, very intelligent person, just did not do well in the school system. And so it was just a lack of knowledge that really pushed it. Thankfully, like I said, this support systems do make and break. And I mean, that's something that's really great about your program, is that and the guests that I speak to in my podcast, that it really changes the outcome depending on if parents are involved, if friends are involved, if you have some kind of person to relate to that can support you. I don't think I would be where I am today if it wasn't for people pushing me to do what I've done now.
Okay, that's a very, very, very good point. So I'm going to come back to that. But all right, so talking about like the therapies that your mom went to the library and she started researching things and looking at when you joined life skills was around 5 years old when you started the life skills classes. How old?
Yes, but I was also in PPCD before that as
and
well.
What is PPCD for everybody?
So, okay. I thought so PPCD is a special education preschool program. So
Okay.
There's the typical pre-K and kindergarten, but kids that are on track to go into life skills or had autism diagnosis or things like that would be in a PPCD program that is meant for special education teachers to handle the littles.
Okay, got it. And all right, so let's talk about some general. I always say there's 3 foundational skills every child on the spectrum needs to progress. Actually, it's like almost 3.5. But number 1 was potty training.
Mhm,
Number 2 is to have some form of communication, and
mhm.
number 3 is kind of like no problem behavior or minimal problem behavior, and or can sit and attend. When would you say you had gotten those 3 foundational skills?
I would say that I was very fortunate because that spectrum, right? It's such a wide spectrum. So I'm obviously on the very far end of that. But the communication didn't come until 5 or 6. I wasn't fully at a point where I was very functionally like with communication until probably 4th or 5th grade. So that would be like 9 years old, 10 years old.
Wow.
I didn't test out of speech therapy until that time. I mean, I still have some minor issues, but nothing that really like gets in my way of communication.
Okay. So like what do you mean? Like your language is perfection from what I can hear. So
Mhm.
what do you mean?
It's, I would say probably just pronunciation, or
Oh,
probably just like finding those kind of words that I'm looking for, that lead to some frustration in me. But again, with self-regulation, that is helpful. And I mean, I think I'm at a point now where it's, and we discussed this off camera, where it's more of like a neurotypical sense where I'm able to communicate my wants and needs just fine. But I still have inner emotions or inner frustrations that do get in my way at times, where I don't want to, I don't know, inappropriate social communication. So I look toward others, or I say, hey, I'm in this situation. How would you interact with this? Because I don't really understand it. I don't understand why I'm having to do these kind of things. Like, this is silly. Why can't I just say what I'm wanting directly? And so thankfully, again, having a support system, that's helped me. With potty training, like you said, I think that was a bit later as well. Probably around 4 years old, and a typical is like 2. And like, and what I tell my parents now, putting my BCBA head on, is that the earlier you do it, the better, right? Because at some point a child realizes it's so much more convenient to just go on yourself than having to go to the bathroom. And so that, I mean, that's the same concept with that, is thankfully, even though I was able to get out of it. But I mean, some parents aren't that lucky. Some parents are still having to deal with that. I have on my caseload currently, I have a 9-year-old that is still potty trained, or a 10-year-old is still potty trained. So it's very difficult. It's just a matter of that. And then I wanted to add something that you said too,
okay.
with your milestones, is feeding. And
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
that's something that was a struggle for me.
Was it
Um,
feeding, like using forks and spoons and knives, or is it trying new foods?
I would say it's both. I would say it would be the feeding forks and knives, because that is a milestone, but that's more of like a typical, every child needs to learn this according to the CDC. But for me, it's trying new foods. I always wanted the same pizza, or I always wanted the same chicken, and that's it. I wouldn't want anything else. And so that was a struggle with me. And so, God bless my mother. If they didn't have the right chicken nuggets, I don't know, what would have happened, or they discontinued the chicken nuggets. But no, thankfully, it was at a point where and then my father was the strict one, so it was like, if you need to eat this, you need to eat this. But my mother was more of the, it's okay, like he can have, give him some time. And so it was that miscommunication, that, like you said, the getting on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think my sister was probably like that middle person that was able to communicate, having that child's input, right? But being able to talk with my parents out, because I remember they would have meetings, and later on as an adult now, they were like, we had meetings about you that we didn't have. They would be in the kitchen and I'd be asleep. I'd be up doing whatever. But later on, I was always like, why'd you have meetings in the kitchen? What was that about? And they would be like, we were talking about you. We were talking about, okay, this didn't work. What do we go to next? What do we do? And that, God, I don't know, like looking back, like a lot of families, like that's so cool. Like my family was on that same page. And it's just, you don't imagine like the amount of work that a family puts into it, like when you're growing up, and then you get older and you're like, what were you doing? Why were you doing this? And I'm sure all of the parents on right now, like you can talk about that. And it's just like, you talk about your kids, and you talk about, this didn't work. How do I fix it? Or what do I do next? Okay, this strategy didn't work. What's the next step? And what was a real struggle for me, and when I was a child, would eventually I'd grow out of it in a sense, and I would like, oh, it's just because I'm getting older, and it wasn't the case. It was because, you know, inadvertently my parents were trying things, new things, or my mother would be reading things from the library, or my father would be on board and say, let's do this, and like the amount of things he probably had to swallow his pride to realize like that, let's do this instead. I'm wrong. Like that's for all my parents and all the parents here. Like I commend you, because it takes a lot of swallowing your pride to admit that you need help, or it takes a lot to admit like I can't control my child's behavior. And I mean, I was no picnic, right? I have these self-injurious behaviors. I have this aggression. I have this yelling that, you know, I would present, and being able to cope with that. I praise my mom every day. And I'm like, you know, that's why you're getting a great Christmas gift, or I'll take you out, mom. Like looking back at it now. And it's been a real joy to see, you know, just be able to take care of my mom like she took care of me.
It's as a mother that pushes her child a lot and really puts a lot of effort in, and for all the moms in here, I am telling them to do the things that I did. I'm trying not to be the emotional host, but I can't help to think that I hope that one day she does understand that I was trying to hurt her. I was trying to help her. And this gives all of us moms, because we talk about this a lot, like we talk about using iPads for reinforcements, and a lot of parents are against taking it away because they feel so bad. And there's just something so good in hearing this as a mother, that you realized what they sacrificed to help you be stronger, you know? Yeah. Not a dry eye in the house, I'm sure, because we're all in the same boat, thinking the same thing. So I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things I did want to think about here is like, when do you feel like, what do you think the work that the mom and dad and your sister did in home was the major catalyst for all the progress you had? Or do you think it was these schools they were putting you in? What do you think was the big, like made the biggest movement for you progress wise?
It was my parents. You know,
everybody.
it was the parents, and it was my parents, because like, sure, the school was helping, but it was also still a public school. I didn't go to a private school. I didn't go to a charter school that was meant to help kids in Texas. I don't know if you have any moms in Texas, but we don't have that. The school is specifically meant for kids with autism that help with that kind of thing. There's no like, oh, well, your kid can't do public school, so he gets to go to a charter school for autistic kids. No, it's either ABA therapy or it's a public school that your kid can go to. And if it's a private school, then they can kick you out. So, I mean, I owe a lot to my mom, and I wish my father passed away when I was early 20s. And I was still, you know, I look back now, I was like, oh, I was young. I used to think I was the oldest person in the world. And no, I was very young. And I wish that I could, you just tell him thank you. I didn't realize then everything that he would have sacrificed, everything that he did. And I don't know, to this day, I talk to my fiance about it. I'm like, God, I just wish that, I hope my father would be proud of the decisions I've made. And I hope that I'm somebody that he could be proud of. And just everything that I am, I know it's because of the parents. I mean, it's because of you guys, everyone on this call. Like your kids will love you forever. And it's everything that you guys are doing for them. Every, you know, intervention, everything that you're like, oh, this isn't working, but at least you tried it. And at least you gave it a shot. There's some parents that may not do that. And I mean, just being on this call today, it's such an honor and a blessing to talk to each of you, because you're what's making a difference. As a BCBA on the other side, I couldn't do what I'm doing if it wasn't for each one of you implementing what we're asking you to do. And as a person with autism, I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for my parents trying to do what they did.
Amazing. I hope everybody hears this, because I know we all say, but everybody, that I always say that school is not Juliana's primary educator. I am her primary educator with her home team, that we're the ones that make or break the success that she has, not the schools. Not that they aren't I call them the helping hands. I wouldn't say that they're the driving force for all the things autism is home and your home team. So I really appreciate you saying that. So what do you think out of like, tell me some of the things that mom and dad did try that worked and some of the things that didn't work. What worked the best? Were they doing a form of ABA and didn't realize it?
I think everyone does a form of ABA and doesn't realize it. And it's not because it's the best thing in the world. It's because behavior is a science and it's just what we do. We talk about that all the time. We're like, oh, first you have to do your homework and then you can go play with your video games. Like that's an ABA term right there that a lot of people don't realize. Or, first we have to do this and then this, or we're going to look at what's motivating him, what's driving him. So like, I think for me and again, I'm more high functioning than others may be, was communication of this is why we're doing this. We're doing this because of XYZ. Or we took at the time, I'm going to, date myself a little bit, but we took away your Super Nintendo because this was, this is, that you did this, you did XYZ. And that helped me and be like, okay, that makes sense. Like that. And I'm still to this day, like I'll accept a lot of things that are my fault, but if it's not explained to me or it's not in a certain way, like I'm so direct. I am very like, I want directness. Like this is happening because of this, because I don't understand the tiptoeing and the social, like why can't I just say, what is going on? Why can't I just say what I'm feeling? And with my fiance, like the reason why we get along so well is because of that. It's a lot of, I am angry because of this. And then I'll be like, I don't understand. I don't get why this is a thing. And so with my parents, it was a lot of like, why did you take away my Super Nintendo? Like, what was the reason for that? And they were like, because you did this. I'm like, okay, I guess. I'm angry.
Would you like lose your shit at times? Like,
oh my God, yes. No, I hated it.
What would they do if you like got really mad?
Please don't do this, because as a BCBA, I'm like, please don't do this. But my dad would yell at me. Okay. And he was a scary one. He took away, he took away everything I loved. He was like, okay, no TV, no computer, no phone, no nothing. You stare at that ceiling until that. And I was like, oh, and I would like be really upset, and I would manage my behavior as I grew up, but a lot of it was now like aggression toward it was property destruction, it was aggression, it was self-injurious behavior. And so like you want to avoid that kind of stuff, right? But like it worked better when my mom told me what was going on, or it worked better when I had communication, or it seemed reasonable to me. And I mean, and there's not a lot that seems reasonable when you're speaking as an adult to a child, but being able to have some kind of conversation helped. And as I got older and became more able to understand, that seemed better. But yeah, no, I would lose it when there was like change. It's like, you told me we were doing this. Why are we not doing this? This is what is planned. I'm getting, a little upset thinking about it. I'm like, oh, why? But
no, it gets riled up.
But yeah, go on.
So like when it happened when mom was there and not dad. So we know that dad was yelling and it was probably putting gas on the fire. So
yeah.
But when it would happen with mom, what would she do?
Mom would be more of the calm and collected. And I think they had that kind of dynamic. It was, hey, we're going to, we need to do this right now. And my sister was kind of a combination of both. She knew when to be like, you're going to go to timeout, or you're doing this or that. And it's funny, like thinking like she was 11. So she was like, only, but yeah. But it was that kind of thing. But then she would also make sense of like, why did you do that? Like, what was your reasoning? Talk it out with me. And I would, and being able to have that kind of like, okay, this is why. And again,
ever, like give it to you if you flipped out enough? Like, would she ever cave and give you what you wanted?
At first it was all of that. But I think as she learned and my sister got older and they listened to her more, or they read more books and read more things, they realized, oh, that's not working. Because my sister would point out like, okay, it's not going away, it's getting worse. Now he's yelling. And because he's learned that he can yell for these toys, and I'm not going to give it to him. And typical like teenager was like, no, I'm not doing that. And so like she started becoming more of the voice of reason. And I mean, to this day, she still is. Like my mom and I love my mom and we do it, but like sometimes I still don't get things. And I'll be like, I'm just gonna talk to Jane. So my sister's Jane. Shout out to Jane if she's listening. But I would talk, and I'm like, why is mom doing this? I don't understand. And so like she's still my calm, like, it's okay, think on it, breathe, remember, like that self-regulation. And then, well, okay, this is why mom is doing it. It's like, but I don't understand. And then she'll talk and she'll like, I'll talk to mom, or let's talk it out a little bit more. And so like it's still a social aspect for me that's difficult, but it turns into, who do I have to turn to still? Like these things that we keep coming back to, these pillars of like, who can I turn to? What are my self-regulations? What keeps me calm? And being able to do these kind of things. And then once I realized, and then once the solution has been solved, when I was younger and even to now, my sister will come back to me and we'll talk it out and be like, how could we have handled this differently? Or how could we have done this differently? And when I was younger, it was the same thing. It was more visual at the time. And I'm still very visual, but at the time it was more visuals. It was more like, this happened because of this. And she would, reenact it or whatever. But it would be, now it's more of, okay, this is how we could have been better. This is how we could have said it differently if we wanted to go this route instead. And I use these experiences to handle, because the situation more often than not in my experience happens again. And so I look back at what occurred, what was my self-regulation back then, what did my sister say, and then move on from there. She's been a rock for me for my entire life. I don't know what I would do without her. And it's important to have that, because like I said, I wouldn't be able to have the job I have if I didn't have that.
All right. Wow, that's amazing. So, all right, let's talk about ABA for a second, because obviously you're a practitioner of it. Yes. What do you think, if it was successful to you from day one, from your diagnosis, how do you think it would have helped you? How do you think you would have responded to it? Do you think it would have been a more positive impact in your life?
I think it would have been quicker. I think I would have figured out things quicker. And so it's unfortunate that we couldn't afford it, but thankfully I was fine without it. I'm in an interesting position for anyone that's aware of the autism community. There's a lot of stories of, autism is, ABA is the worst thing in the world. ABA is doing this to my child, or it's, it hurt me in this way. And I think those are all very anecdotal kinds of stories. And it's very unfortunate that there's, unethical and, really awful practitioners, and they should not have their license. But I wish that there wasn't so many people out there that are ruining the bunch, right? It's not every practitioner. It's only some, but that's enough to really hurt the image. And so as I'm in an interesting position, because I have autism, because I'm also a BCBA. And so I've been trying to bridge that gap of what is it that I can do to help others. So I always recommend ABA for anyone that has, individual with autism, but I also preface it with, look into where you're sending your child, look into the BCBA, look into the company. If they don't have an open door policy, red flag. If they're not letting you see your child at any time and be like, hey, I'd love to see my child do XYZ. Do you have it on, camera footage? Can we review it? Can we meet? And I'm not saying, slam the door open, like, you need to meet with me now, because it's a job and everyone's busy, but they should be willing to make appointments. They should be willing to show you previous experiences, things like that. So to more answer your question, I think it would have helped me. I'm still thankful for the support I've had, but I wish I would have had it. Looking back now as a BCBA, I don't see it as any kind of wrong that would have occurred.
Okay. And I just want to say to everybody too, this is the kind of things that we go over in the program. Specifically, this program is very ABA friendly. And I've taken some fire for that too, from people who believe, that autism is a gift that shouldn't be changed. And I always think, like, in some of the severe cases, I'm like, am I dropping the kid off to you when his parents die and you're going to change a shit diaper? I'm just asking, or in the same essence that, there's a lot of medical practices that are humane, that are in practice today, that weren't humane in the past. And the same thing, like, are we going to throw out the whole practice of ABA because of some bad apples? That's what this program is about, because we want to try and educate you. Not only, I call ABA the fluent language of our children on the spectrum, but we also want to teach you what to look for in these red flags. Like, one of the things I always look for too is if the child is running from the therapist, if they're hysterical, crying consistently, not in the first week, but like if this is like never wants to go to the center, these are red flags too. So I agree with you 100% on that. All right. So, do you feel like when you look back at your time with your family, did you feel like they struggled, like as a family, to do family things because of your autism?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah. I mean, I think back at like, we'd have to leave stores, and this is so embarrassing, like thinking about like, oh, why'd I act like that? But I was also like 5 or 6, like, you know what I mean? Like 8. Like I really wanted a toy and be like, I want it. And that, the typical meltdown in the store and be like, okay. And then it was funny enough, it was my sister who told me this. She said that it was her idea to be like, you know what, leave them. Just leave. And so and again, teenager being like, oh, this is it. And so it was like, just leave them. We'll leave the aisle. And I was like that was like, oh my God, where's my family? And then she was like, yeah. Like, and then she was like, yeah, that taught you. I remember telling Dad that. He was like, what? And it was like, yeah, just leave them. And sure enough, I would chase after, like looking at, like, oh God, I would chase after them. And then that stopped real fast, because I realized, I was like, okay, they're gonna leave me. Wow, I have to be by myself. And so that would stop. And so it was a lot of the tough love of like, okay, we're gonna handle things this way, or we're gonna do it this way. That helped a lot. I also think it was a lot of them just trying things, and they're like, you know what happens if we do this? And that's what I was saying about the parents. Like, if you try it and it's safe, keyword safe, being able to try things, and your child's going to be okay, I don't see the harm in that. And for me, that would be situations, or it was like they didn't have the food at a restaurant that I wanted, and like they're like, I want it, and then we were like, guess we're leaving. And so like we left, because it was also a social. And you talk about like ABA is awful in these situations, people think that, but like what you said, what are you going to do with the child? Like, that's not appropriate. A child can't just go the rest of their life and scream when they're in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Right. And ABA is able to help that. Or my parents eventually would try like smaller restaurants and bigger to get me to a point where it was like, okay, if he can handle this fast food restaurant, that's more appropriate. Can he handle a sit down restaurant? Can he handle, and going up those steps of trying to, until eventually it's like, okay, he can handle it. Or he has certain food selections in there. I mean, we talked about my food selectivity. And as I got older, that got better. And I think that goes with, either the peer pressure of trying new foods because I wanted to fit in, or it goes into my dad saying, this is all you're eating and that's all you're going to have, and trying that. So it was a good mix of just like the cool, calm and collected mom, the tough love dad, and also the combo of my sister being that.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you something, because I think this is really interesting, because I took a lot of what I call face first hits with Juliana, trying things and failing really badly, not just like failing a little, like failing miserably. If there was, our program is all encompassing, meaning that, I'm a coach, but I'm also a parent of a child with autism who has this daughter who also was nonverbal. Then she learned sign language, word approximations to kind of where she is today, where she's, in an integrated class with neurotypical peers. I remember when I was going through this, I was trying to find somebody who could guide me and direct me into what to do. And do you think if something like that, like my program was available when your mother got the news of your diagnosis, do you think that would have helped her so much and maybe just helped you to fast track your progress?
Yeah, no, I think that having someone to turn to, because I mean, again, there wasn't the social media, there wasn't anyone, it was word of mouth if she heard anything, but like having a program or having something is always worth a try. And it's going to be different for every child, but it's important to at least give things a shot. And if they're seeing progress, why stop it? It doesn't need to be a be all end all. This is the only way. If they're seeing progress with your program, or they're seeing progress with a program, That's what matters. It's not like you teach your child to toilet train and they're like, oh, it wasn't, it wasn't the correct way. Well, if it worked for your child, like, that's great. That's really good. Like, that's their toilet trained. Really great job. And your program would be good. Anything that's out there for parents, resources. Thank God there's internet and social media, and there's people posting all these free resources, all these different resources that are at really convenient prices. Like, somebody can now thankfully afford $30 instead of like the thousands of dollars that ABA was at a time, or the thousands of dollars for speaking engagements, things like that. Yeah. It's awesome that there's so many resources out there for parents now.
Oh, that's fabulous. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. Came up yesterday. I thought it was a really good one, because I'm curious for my daughter too, because I told her I was interviewing you tonight, and I said, oh, and he has autism, and she kind of goes silent. So we told her about her autism about, I want to say 6 to 9 months ago, how we did it. We created an All About Me book. And there we had her tell us all about her, and we had her brother do it too.
Yeah.
And your brother reminds me.
I love that.
So we had them both create these books. And then once they were done, they presented them to us. And I took this from All About Me. It was a book I read. It was by a BCBA about teaching. Should you tell somebody, a child with autism, they have it or not? And it's a personal decision. But for us, we felt like it was the time. Like, I felt like I was betraying her trust by not telling her like why all these teachers are here,
Yeah.
So when she presented the book to us to show it to us, and the same thing with Cody, what we did was like, oh, we have pages to add too. And then we kind of talked about like, I have asthma, Daddy has eczema, Cody has Cody has allergies, and you have autism.
Yeah.
And then we tried to kind of show her all the different people that had autism, and she really, I don't know if she processed it. She was only 8 at the time. She's 9 now. I'm not sure what she's thinking, because a lot of time with her, everything's very internal. Yeah. So she's not as expressive as you yet. I hope she gets to that point. Mm-hmm. But like in your childhood years, particularly when you were nonverbal, did you know that you were different?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. No, I knew. I just didn't know why.
Did you think you were less or different?
Did I think I was less?
Yeah. You did.
I mean, that's an important part. I don't know if that was the question, but yeah, no, and that's funny enough. So on my podcast, I asked my people a lot that, because I felt that way. I asked them, did you feel ashamed that you had autism? And I did. And I mean, I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to be someone that didn't understand like really easy things and the things that we've talked about, really easy things that came so naturally to other people. And it didn't to me. And I knew I was different. I was like, okay, why am I not getting this? Why am I not understanding socially? Why am I in this class, this life skills class? Why am I not with other people? There's not other, people in, wheelchairs, or there's not other people that have these different kinds of like issues. I'm, in second grade.
Like rolling around your head, even though you couldn't vocally express it. Like
I wouldn't say as complex. I would just be like, like I don't know how to put it into words. Yeah. It would be more of just like, that's not right, or that's different. I'm doing like really simple, because I'm a child at that time, right? Looking back at that point. Now as an adult, I can verbalize how I felt, or how I can, verbally how I was feeling about everything. And it was more about like, I didn't want to be just someone on the outside in that sense. And so that's where the masking comes in, where I was like, I don't want to be different. And that was a time too in the 90s and the early 2000s where you made fun of for, the smallest thing. There was all these different things that people were going through. People make fun of you for it. Now, after college and now in this day and age, like you accept who you are. And that's so cool that you can be that. And I really am so excited for your daughter, because like there's no problem being autistic like it used to be, where it used to be like, oh, you have this diagnosis, oh, why are you in the weird class? And I remember like that would be a thing too, like why, we were isolated in my school. It was all of special ed was on one side, and then it was the rest of the school on the other sides. And it was when you interacted with other people, were like, why were you coming from the weird class, or what was going on with that? And it would be, it's harsh, it's cruel thinking back to it now, but like, as kids, you don't think about that. You don't think about why, but as the person in the weird class, it was heartbreaking. And so as I got older and I was able to test out of life skills, I never wanted to bring that up. I never wanted to be a part of that era, until recently when I got out of college and I realized like, what's wrong with me? Like I wasted so much time not being myself. Um, it's important now. So I've been trying to make up that time and just help others understand like it's okay to be different. It's okay to have the diagnosis. You're not alone. And what started out as me trying to make people not alone, and the more people, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of community here and I love it. And that wasn't the case. I remember I was just searching. I was like Facebook early on. I was like autism, and I was like, what's out there? And I found this group, and it was so small. It was like 15 people. It was the only autism like only group that I saw, and I like cried. I was like, I have people like me. And I remember it was such a tight knit group for a while of like, okay, we have autism, but we're also in, certain fields. Like, how are we responding to things?
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see other people like me, and also at the same similar level as me, to be able to talk like I do, or to be able to interact like I do, but still have the struggles of like, I don't get why this is happening. Or there would be like group chats of like, I don't understand this social situation. Can somebody help me with this? And we would all band together. And it was so cool.
How long ago was that Facebook group? How many years?
That was like probably 7 years ago I found it.
Yeah. So what I want to put it into perspective for everybody is this question's kind of it's kind of a tough question because it's his perspective from his experience many, many years ago. I'm very curious what Juliana's answer to this question will be when she's older and I ask her, because she has a lot more resources, had a lot more access to things than Armando did.
Yeah.
And the integration is such a presence now. And if the numbers keep going up, I don't really see that going away. I actually see that expanding. We're in a very big district. In her school alone, I think there's 3 integrated classes per grade, and that's huge. I mean, usually it's like 1 per district.
Yeah, that's how it was.
That just goes to show the need for this and how many children need the additional support. So I just want to be really, thoughtful on that, because his experience is real and it's genuine, but our kids are very fortunate. It's unfortunate always that they have this extra hurdle in their lives, but it is fortunate now because they have a lot more access than Armando and his family had, which is tremendous.
I mean, yeah, if you look now for others, so I read that, I always like, now that I do my podcast and things, I'm in a lot of autistic groups, and we went from the 15 that I just talked about to like 3,000 in one place, like, because it's all over the world, or it's like another autism group and it's anything autism and it's like 15,000, like all of these things. It's crazy.
Yeah, amazing. So, all right. So we talked about that. Let me see here. How, so tell us about your teen years. What was your social life like? Give us some details there on the teen.
I got through masking pretty well at that point. And I had also left essentially my old life behind, because in Texas, or at least my area of Texas, there were the feeder patterns where elementary feeds from middle to high school. But in my specific district, it was magnet school program. So it was, and what that means is there's a specialty. And so we went from an elementary that was a specialty to a middle school to a high school. But once you got to high school, you got to go wherever you wanted, because it was a certain magnet thing. And so I was able to go to a high school for law enforcement. And so there was no one from my middle school and no one from my elementary, except 2 people. And I'm still best friends with them today.
Is that on purpose?
I did that on purpose. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be. And also we were in a very poor area. And so it was a lot of, my parents told me there were a lot of bad influence, right? Like a lot of gangs, a lot of drugs and things like that was in, the middle schools and even some elementary. And so we went to a different high school. I was like, please take me to a different high school. And so I went to this different high school and I got to reinvent myself, as it was, through masking. And so I would, if someone was talking about something, I'd relate to that, or I'd find some way to relate to these people in certain ways, or I'd find some way to work with things socially. If I felt that I wasn't able to understand a social situation, I'd step back, learn it, review it, and then move into, okay, let me save that for later, or then experience it myself, or being able to be a part of different things. I was still very like, how are things? Armando would be like, it's good. And then, but like, I played it off as a quirk. I played it off as like, it's good. It was like just very dry. So like my humor became dry humor. my communication was directness. And so being able to have dry humor and be very direct was just my niche, I guess, my thing. And the only two people that knew really like my whole history was my two friends, still friends with them today, but they followed because they were also like, I don't want to be in this school. And so they went to my elementary and my middle school and then to my high school. And so we just stayed really good friends. We still hang out all the time. But they appreciate who I am and I love that. And it was also a very small school. So it wasn't lost in the crowd. I don't do well with crowds. I don't like a lot of really big crowds. And so having the smallness of just like smaller classes or smaller groups, everyone being able to just be themselves, that was really cool because I didn't feel like I needed to be a certain person. I could just relate to whoever I was talking to.
Got it. Great. Got it. All right. So now I'm going to get you don't have to answer, but I'm going to ask as many questions as I can here. So I want to know about how you met your fiance. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Yes. No.
How old were you? Was she your first girlfriend? Did you have many girlfriends?
No,
dating?
No, not at all. No. I was so we met on Bumble, funny enough, and that I loved because that took away that social aspect too. You got to be comfortable with somebody before you got to actually meet them. So I was able to think about what I wanted to say. How will this come off to somebody, or how will it? So it was really cool having that aspect. I love that internet dating came up because I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this in person. But the internet. So we met on Bumble. And so we talked on there for a while. We met in person.
How old were you?
What's that?
How old were you when you met?
This was I was 26. So yeah, and she is 23. So, and it's funny also with online dating because I would never met her. She's in the animal world and I'm in the ABA world. So our circles would have never met. I'm 26, she was 21. Social circles would have never met. And so we hit it off. She is also very direct. She has very dry humor. And so that was our key thing. She was able to say things like it was. I was able to say things like it was.
She's not on the spectrum.
She's not on the spectrum. She's just herself. So, but that really played off each other. And so we were able to be just our complete selves. I've never felt more comfortable with somebody in my life. That was super cool. So I have all my little weird quirks I get to do. I do my hand flapping, I do that. But also on, like we said earlier, I have my negative side, and she's been helping me out with that. My frustrations, my aggression, my self-injury that I may show from time to time, not nearly as much as I used to as a child, but she's now also become more of a self-regulator for me and being able to help me with things like that.
So when you did present some of those autism type things like the hand flapping or getting self-injurious behavior, what did she do like the first time she saw it?
We talked it out and she was like, look, this is not okay, and that we can figure this out together where you can tell me how you're feeling. And that's helped out tremendously, where we're able to discuss things. And it wasn't, and I say like self-injurious and things like that, but it was more of like, oh, like I'm just like, I'm upset, so like I'd like go out for a walk, or I'd go like, I just need some time to myself. And it's been a real dream to have somebody that's like willing to accept both the positive and the negatives of it.
Got it.
And it's been a real joy to have her.
Got it. And then I'm just happy to hear all these things because it makes me happy. So I guess like I want to know this too, but how did you propose to her, by the way?
So we love the museum. We have a question too. We have a museum. We went to the museum. That's our favorite place in the world. And so I asked them, I was like, hey, I want to propose here. And my idea was always putting the ring on a dinosaur. And so like it would be on the dinosaur's hand. And so they're like, yeah, we could totally do that. And so we went there. I was nervous. I was sweating. We were dressed up. We did it as like, just her sister wanted to take pictures of us as like cute pictures. And so we went there and her sister helped like put the ring on the dinosaur, and then they did all that. So I was able to distract her. We walked her over and they were doing a lesson on the dinosaur. And so they were showing us like, yes, but would you like to see the dinosaur fossil? And she was like, yeah. And so the ring was on the dinosaur hand.
Oh.
And then and then I got down on one knee, I took it off and I said, will you marry me? And she said yes. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So,
it's going.
but it was so cool.
I was afraid you might give her the tell before she saw it.
Yeah, I was so nervous, but like, yeah, but it was so cool. And like, it was, so it was really cool. I loved it so much. And like, it's just been like just a dream since then. Like we are having our wedding next year in September. And it's just, I can't believe it. Like, it's just so cool.
Oh, so excited for you. All right. So I'm going to give you one last question and then we're going to take the questions from the moms. This has been so, like, for a mom of a child that's so little and she really can't articulate a lot of what you're saying. I'm so excited to see what's going on in there. I'm like left out in the cold. Like, what's going on in there? She doesn't tell me anything. But as now a child that had, I would say you've had some severe autism symptoms and that you've overcome so many challenges in your life. And you've said that your family's been such a support for that. Just looking at your evolution as a person with autism, would you say, like, meeting your fiance, having your sister, even as an adult, you feel like you're getting stronger, you're getting more, you're never too old to learn, I guess is my question I'm asking you.
I learn every day. And I tell them I have grown so much because of my fiance. And that's what you want to look for in a partner, right? Like someone you can grow with, someone that you can just be with and learn from. So I learn from her each and every day. I learn from my sister, I learn from my mom, I learn from everyone I'm around. And it's not an idle phase. It's where do I go from here? And it's been so much a blessing to have the people I have around me.
Absolutely. And the support system above all else is really what you felt was the catalyst for the progress that you were able to see in your life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. All right. Just support for that. Just looking at your evolution as a person with autism, would you say, like, meeting your fiance, having your sister, even as an adult, you feel like you're getting stronger, you're getting more, you're never too old to learn, I guess is my question I'm asking you.
I learn every day. And I tell them I have grown so much because of my fiance. And that's what you want to look for in a partner, right? Like someone you can grow with, someone that you can just be with and learn from. So I learn from her each and every day. I learn from my sister, I learn from my mom, I learn from everyone I'm around. And it's not an idle phase. It's where do I go from here? And it's been so much a blessing to have the people I have around me.
Absolutely. And the support system above all else is really what you felt was the catalyst for the progress that you were able to see in your life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. All right. I'm going to open this up for questions from our moms. Kristen posted the first question. Kristen, are you here? You can unmute yourself if you're here. Let me see if you're here. Kristen, you're here. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. You want to ask Armando some questions?
Yeah, I threw it in the chat. It was more about, I heard that you said about big crowds sometimes bothering you.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on that. If there's anything specific about the crowds, if it is the energy that's going on. Sometimes feels like my son is bothered by energy, not always crowds per se. Want to get some suggestions on how to manage.
Yeah, no, he's so excited. I would say that, it had to do, for me, it's a lot of the energy, it's a lot of the movement, it's a lot of stimuli, it's a lot going on for me. And I'm just overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, there's so much noise, there's so much people, there's so much like things to look at, colors, things like that. And for me, that was difficult. Looking now as a BCBA, it's all toleration. So how can we get a person to be okay with those kind of things? Is to be looking into, can you handle it for a minute? Can you handle it for 5 minutes? What's that base? And then figuring out where you go from there, right? So being able to say, okay, if you can do 10 minutes, then we can go and get ice cream, or we can go something to say like, you did such a great job of handling these crowds. And so as an adult, I get to decide, I don't know who gave me that responsibility, but I get to decide like what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do, right? And so that's something that I do want to tackle. I just don't happen to get in situations like that because I just don't see a need in my own personal life to do that, especially with this day and age. Like a lot of crowds come from stores, a lot of crowds come from that. I'm like, okay, I could just order online and that's so much easier. Or maybe concerts are an issue. I don't really go to a lot of concerts because it's just a lot for me to take in, unless there's like either a small concert and there's assigned seating, not so much where I'm touching everyone. There's a lot of things going on. So thinking about toleration would be good, but also thinking about what is going to be appropriate in your son's life. Is he always going to need to be near crowds, or is it something that you can handle without?
Is that helpful, Kristen? All right, great.
Yes, that's a great answer. Thank you.
All right, who's next? Let's see. Charity, you're next. Unmute. Everybody stay muted until it's your turn. Charity, you here?
Sorry, I'm here. I was trying to post my question.
No, that's all right. No, just say I have a question, and then I want you to come on and ask.
Got it. Okay. She's like, put it in the chat. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you so much, Armando. I appreciate your time. And I was hinting to the fact that my son, he's currently, he's about to be 6, and my husband is the strict one. And I'm the more understanding, like, it's fine, it's going to be okay. And he flaps, the flapping a lot. And I've done research and seen that you can introduce a replacement behavior. So I try to get him to like clap instead of flapping. But my husband is like adamant, like always telling him, stop. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, as he gets older, he'll grow out of that. And then I just heard you say that you still do it. And so I'm like, how do I explain that to my husband?
And you saw me do it. Yeah.
How do I, like, if you can communicate what that does for him, then I can kind of make it more
what is
accepting for my husband.
Oh, it feels amazing. No, it's a good time. Yeah. Like I just have so much energy that I just like, that's how I release it. And I've never gotten rid of it because it's just become a quirk. And especially when my fiance is like, that's how I know you got a good gift. Like, I don't want to get rid of that because I've paired it now with something positive. And I don't think she wants me to get rid of it because then she's like, what, you didn't like my gift? But with your husband, right? Like getting on the same page and figuring out like, what are you guys both okay with? So maybe not clapping, but what about rubbing? Or what about just something like, can he do this? Like, can he put his hands together like that? And so get that squeeze and that sensation. And maybe also instead of replacing it, if he's like totally against replacing it, then moving into when can he do it appropriately? So I've learned to do it appropriately where I'm super excited or so I'm not doing it all day long, like maybe I used to in the past, but now I can really get rid of that energy when I'm excited. And I've learned, because I functionally have learned communicatively, that I am excited can give me the same sensation as hand flapping, right? In a lot of situations, unless like it's something super cool and I'm like, I can't. Like getting engaged. Like I'm like, oh, like even now, like it was months ago and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm engaged. So
Juliana used to do it like this. And then we taught her to do it to her sides. And now she becomes self-aware of it. And it's only, she still does it, but it's not as like, I guess, as excitable because I think she's aware that other people can see it now. But then she'll come home and say, oh, I'm going to go play in the yard and it's like 30 degrees. And I'm like, actually, you're going out there to stim, but sure, no problem. Walking around the pool, just like, it's an energy. I always thought, as her mother, always, and it's good that Armando's validating this for me. I always saw it as an energy release. And it was the one thing we never really like tried to take away from her because I felt like she needed it, And it feels so good. And it's like, well, I definitely want to take it from her then,
And something like you could maybe he can get the same sensation from another activity. So maybe like he doesn't need a hand flap. Maybe he loves the trampoline or maybe he loves the ball or just something like that. Yeah. So like you could say like, hey buddy, every 30 minutes, every hour, you just go play on the ball. And then that way you get the energy out that way. That's something we do in the clinic as well, where if they have all these behaviors, we'll say, hey, we're going to just give you, and that's called non-contingent reinforcement. We're just every 10 minutes, we're saying, go play on the ball, go play on, or do this, like whatever works. But like for some things, I don't tell my therapist, don't worry about hand flapping. Only worry about hand flapping when it's in an inappropriate situation. If I'm saying do this for me, like doing work, and you're doing this and it's getting in your way, now it's socially inappropriate, right?
Okay.
But if it's on your time, and I always tell my therapist, if he's on the swing and he's hand flapping, why are we going to stop him? It's not hurting anyone.
Yeah, he's totally on his tablet. He's doing it right now. I'm sure he can't.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, like if it's on his time, it's socially appropriate because he's playing a game. Why am I going to stop that? Exactly. But if I'm telling you, hey, you need to do your homework, and now you're doing it, now it's socially inappropriate. So considering what's appropriate, what's inappropriate in the social, what's going to make him look different than other people in that sense.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Charity. All right. Who else wants to ask Armando a question? This is, we don't get him again until January 10th in our program. He is now officially a coach in our program once a month. Woo woo! And he'll fill in for the BCBAs if they're ever out sick. Hopefully, if we can coordinate that. Anybody have any questions for him? Oh, Dorian, here we go. All right, Dorian, you're up. Dorian's our sassy, fiery mom.
Love it.
I had to lower my hand because I noticed that with the chat. Like when you raise it, you have to lower it. It's like, anyway. So my question is, what, I know you said that you didn't totally speak until you were like 8 or 9, right?
Correctly, yes.
Okay. What was it for you that made you want to speak? Like to get your needs to, your wants and needs across to either your mom or your teacher or whomever? Like what was it for you that made you want to speak?
Stop getting what I wanted. That's my like I told you with my dad and my mom and sister, they just be like, don't give it to him. Like just stop, you know what I mean? Like, so, and it's not a full on, take away the iPad forever until you speak. You're going to need some help in that. And he's going to need some help in that where you're assisting. Like, and I don't know your situation. So if you're using signs or whatever it may be, right? But if it's signs, then just saying, hey, can you do this? My turn, right? And then even if you have to help him with hand over hand, this is my turn, immediately giving him the tablet. That's communication in of itself. And now the child's learned, hey, I don't get what I want by screaming. I only get the iPad if I say my turn.
Or uses bridge form of communication. We call signs, PECs, devices, bridge forms. Dorian, does it sound familiar?
Yeah. Using this.
Yes. Have we talked about like withholding things and using them as reinforcers, especially the high value stuff?
Dorian, what are you using? What program is that?
Oh, this is LAMP.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with. I know of LAMP, but yeah, so it'd be that situation. So if they're on one word, then having you show the iPad, for instance, right, and be like, hey, what do you want? And then he knows to press iPad. You do want the iPad. I love that you wanted that you told me. Here's the iPad. And then you withhold it in any other situation where he only gets the iPad if he says iPad or I want iPad, whatever it is. Whatever, I don't know how far he is with his words.
Oh, it's a she actually.
Oh, she. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Dorian, throw him a bone.
It's fine. I don't care. That's really why I didn't correct you. I'm like,
That's funny. But do you see like what we talk about in here? Because we have a lot of moms that are like, I don't want to take away their number one beautiful, bright, shiny thing, but like you're not taking.
Yeah, but I took hers away already.
Yes, yeah. I know. But it's always about finding that high value reinforcer and making them like if she asks for her milk, her cookies, her food every day, she's always going to have access. She'll have a visual look to it, but shouldn't be able to have access to it unless she communicates with you. And that's what Armando's saying. He had no choice. There really was no other option. His family was not caving. They're like, he's going to communicate or he's not going to get what he needs. And when you did start talking at like 8 or 9, Armando, it was the basics first, right? Getting your wants and needs met, correct?
Yes. And that's always how it typically is.
Yes, exactly. And then it folds into where we can start to try and have dialogue in a more of like, and then, have him, you're going to prompt you're going to prompt your child to communicate with you. And then they're going to say it on their own. And then we can build on that and create conversations.
I would also say too, what I speak to my parents I currently work with, is keeping the high valued items for a high need that you want them to do. So if you're having trouble with like potty training, right? Then using the iPad for potty training. Hey, if you successfully void in the toilet, then I'll give you the iPad. Or if you eat this food item, then I'll give you the iPad for whatever it is.
I'm going to play devil's advocate with you and say, what if, he just loves the iPad. There's nothing else he loves. And I need to get him potty trained. But if I take that iPad from him, he's going to throw a fit. He's going to run around the house naked. He's going to stop and flip out. What would you tell me, Armando, if I'm a mom like that?
So, and that's a good question. Because I get that at my clinic a lot. It's also figuring out what is it that he or she enjoys, because maybe it's not just the iPad. They're not just on the iPad all day long. Are there any other toys, puzzles, things like that? Anything that you can withhold and you can also use. So if the iPad is becoming too big of an issue, we can try other toys. It doesn't necessarily need to always be the highest need. It just needs to be something that they truly enjoy. And then that's the thing you're going to withhold.
Exactly.
So, yeah, go on. Yeah.
Do you want to call bullshit on that sometimes when you hear it, because you feel like there's the iPad meets a want and a need potentially for like, it brings peace to the home. And like, how about even pulling that aside? Do you believe that they're a child on the spectrum, even if they're severe, could only be interested in like one thing or one thing only?
No, I don't.
You don't.
And that's just because there are so many things out in the world, right? And so there's different ways, and anyone that talks to me, we can also speak about this in my meetings as well, because it gets a little bit more complex, but there's different types of ways to figure out what your child likes the most. You could just put them in a room and you can see what they turn to the most. So the iPad's not in the room.
That's a great idea. That's right.
Say, go play. And then you see, oh, okay, you like the blocks, you like the puzzle, good to remember, right? And then there's ones where you take puzzle and blocks, and then you say, pick one, and then the child picks the one, and you're like, okay, so you like the blocks over the puzzles, good to know. And so like we do a lot of that in a clinic in the ABA world to determine what are we going to use to allow a child to be reinforced with.
Amazing. And just for everybody who may be struggling with this in the program right now, in your files, in the more files section of the masterclass group, we have a reinforcer checklist and a reinforcement inventory. It'll give you ideas of things that you can present that we've seen success with for other children on the spectrum. Very good question. All right. Carrie,
I have one more question.
All right, go ahead, Dorian.
I just have one more question.
All right, yeah.
I just wanted to ask him about feelings. Did you have a problem with like expressing your feelings, like if you were angry or sad or anything like that?
Yeah, I had to learn all that. Yeah, no, that was a good time. That was hard for me to determine. And over time, with more examples and more experiences and talking with my sister, be like, yeah, you were upset, or you were sad, or things like that. And like, okay, I was sad. And then remembering in this situation, I was sad. This is the same feeling I'm feeling now. This is sadness, and that kind of sensation, right? But there's a lot of things you can do to teach that. You can also show cards, you can show videos, you can show examples. There's a lot of evidence behind video role play or like video modeling, where you're showing different videos. And I would look that up too, because there's certain things that you can do. But video modeling, where you're showing the child, this is how we do things, or this is how I want you to do things. This is anger. This is happiness. This is what it looks like. And then having that child be able to understand it. But that's also a very complex skill. So it depends on the child.
Yeah, you build to that, Dorian. But what's really interesting is that he's saying, and it's so exciting for me, because I'm assuming Juliana's going to do the same thing, is that he looks at it very analytically, and he looks at it, his past experiences with certain emotions to call from when new things come up that have to have an emotional response to it. It's so different than us, because we learn emotions almost through osmosis of just going through life, where a child on the spectrum needs to be taught what that emotion is and given like some examples of where it comes from. I think this is so fascinating, just helping me to understand my daughter better. So was that helpful, Dorian?
Yes, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Everybody loves you, Armando. You're like a celebrity.
Everyone's so nice.
I got good girls. I could go. All right, Carrie, you're up.
Oh, okay, there I am. Hello. Oh, let me lower my hand. Okay. Hello, Armando. Thank you so
Hi.
much for being here. You're wonderful. I just wish I could hug you. So my little guy is 4, and we're starting some speech. We're doing some withholding in order to get him to speak more. He does have like some apps and stuff that he likes to play, like matching colors and all that stuff, but there really isn't he's kind of grown bored with them.
Okay.
And I want him to continue to learn and do stuff because he mastered these apps super quick. Is there anything that you would recommend that could possibly like help him to kind of engage some speech into working with the iPad or something? Because it's something that he really does enjoy and he engages in it and he masters it quickly. So I was just wondering if there's anything, because I remember the lady before me was saying something about an app called Lamp or something like that, and I've never heard of that. So
okay.
I just thought that I would throw it out there and be, you know, if there's something or anything that you would recommend that could possibly help him to start to kind of speak a little more, because he's gotten to now to where he's irritated to kind of say the words that we're always asking him to say. Like now he's like, I've already done said mama how many times? Like, you asked me again. Like, you know, like we're like, oh, you know, say cookie. And he turns around like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
stop asking me to say the same thing. So we're trying to kind of initiate some new words, but they're just not coming.
Yeah. So, and that's a good point. So there's a few that I'm aware of, because that's also more of a speech therapy kind of thing, right? But we do use it on the ABA side. Lamp was something that was told to me by a speech therapist. So I'm glad Dorian brought it up. I was always familiar with 2 forms. One is free, one is not. One is fairly expensive. But Let Me Talk is a program like Lamp that is free. And you can download it on Android or iPad.
Okay.
And it allows them and allows you to put pictures. So it either has clip art pictures, or you can take a picture of items and then it says what it, and then you write what it is. So if it's like a phone, then you would take a picture of the phone and then it's in there. So now he can say phone, or he can say cookie, or whatever it is. And then there's the other program that is fairly expensive though, and only for iPads, is Proloquo. Now, Proloquo is just a faster version of Let Me Talk, and then it's probably on the same reign as Lamp. I would just see what is more expensive. Dorian, correct me if I'm incorrect, because you have Lamp and I haven't really necessarily seen it. But Proloquo is good. There's tons of pictures, tons of access to different kinds of pictures that they can have. And then it's up to you to determine where your son is at and how far you want to take that language. And so it would be, is he just on one word? Can he say cookie? Can he say, I want cookie? Can he say, I want more cookies, please? Things like that.
Okay. Yeah. We're just at one word now, and it might not, it's like also just like some approximations, like be like, okay, you know, and like he'll be, you know, trying to tell me he wants a cookie, and I'll be like, okay, what you have to tell me. And he won't say cookie, he says cocoa. Okay. I'm like, okay, but I know that that's cookie. So I'm like, okay. And then I'll hold it and I'll be like, okay, what do I have to do, you know, to get the cookie out?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I make him say open, but for him, open is ooh. So, you know, it's like the words, like there's some things that are there, there's some things that aren't. So it's just, you know, like he'll say bubble, he'll say mama, like there's stuff that he will say, but there's other ones. I don't know if it's because we're giving it to him, like he'll say cuckoo or cocoa or whatever, and we give it to him, or should I be holding it back and making him actually say cookie? Or, you know, because I still want to reward him for trying.
Yeah.
You know, today he did say do, because I was holding the cookie container and I said, okay, what do I have to do? And he said, do. And I said, no, what do I need to do?
It's like, no, you're not getting it. Yeah.
I'm like, no, what do I need to do? And then he kind of looked at me and I went, and then he goes, ooh, and that's how he knows to say open. So he'll make the eye contact and he really does focus, like look at your mouth. So as you're saying stuff, he'll be like, really paying attention to how you say it. So that helps a lot. But I mean, I don't know, should I then maybe like pull back a little bit and kind of make him say cookie, or are we okay just with accepting the approximations right now?
So and thank you so much, because there's a lot going on in that, right? So there's, I can speak on the behavioral side. I can also speak on the speech side. For speech, if you're looking at more pronunciations and how to do it appropriately, I would look into seeing whether or not if you have insurance, whether or not speech therapy is covered, because they would do an excellent job in allowing him to have more opportunities in that sense. On a behavioral side, on my side of things, I would say that's going to be totally up to you. Are you happy with him using a tablet to be able to communicate, or are you happy with the cocoa for the cookie, right? Because over time, he may learn more words, but you are more than welcome to withhold the cookie and then say cook, say coo, whatever it may be, wherever he's at, and then going that route. It's always a parent preference, because it really depends. How old is your son?
He's 4.
He's 4, right? So I always look at it, and I always tell my parents this as well, that they may be 4 years old, but they've also had 4 years to learn a certain behavior. And so that is what they're going to keep track of. So the older they are, the harder it is. And so if you're working with them now, great, but know that you may see a higher level of behavior because he's not used to you withholding the cookie for him to say cook. And so just be prepared for that. But being able to say cook, coo, whatever, it may lead to cookie, may lead to, cookies, whatever it may, and so on and so on. But if he has words already, that's a great sign that he's going to be able to learn. But you'll get more out of him by either doing speech therapy, maybe withholding and seeing how that goes, but also still allowing him to have that communication will lower that problem behavior, that the aggression or whatever he may be showing, because he has a way to communicate with you that he doesn't currently have.
Yeah.
And this the thing too, Carrie, what I would do with Juliana is, like, let's say she'd say cook instead of, when I know she could say cookie, I'd break off a piece.
Yep.
If you want more, I need cookie, and then she'd say cookie and she'd get it. So that way she's not completely walking away with nothing.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Nothing, it's still encouraging, but it's going in that direction, especially
take it little steps at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I look forward to
everybody loves it. Everyone's like, get Armando. Bring Armando. All right, who else has a question? Raise your hand. I think I see, hold on, I just want to make sure. I'm going to pick you. Charity, you're up again. She's got another
question. You. I know, sorry. I'm just
what I'm here for.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it yet, but did you know how to read before you use verbal language?
Good question.
That's a good question. Yes, not well. But so I didn't know how to read. I actually still don't like reading, but I was speaking relatively, but it wasn't a matter of being able to read as well as other people. It was still a pretty low reading level, I would say. And so as I got older, I was, reading as much as I could, or that I was understanding without being frustrated. I remember it was like pulling teeth, my sister would say, of having me to read. And it's like, you need to read, you need to figure this out. But I was able to understand, I just didn't want to.
Okay, so it's just a frustrating process. At what age do you think you kind of just said, all right, well, I don't have a choice, so I'm just going to self-regulate and push through?
When it started affecting my grades, but I went further than that, when it started affecting my ability to have stuff at home, because my dad would take away everything that I had. He was like, you didn't get a, you didn't get an A, you didn't get a B. I'm taking away your TV, your phone, your computer, it's
called negative reinforcement.
A little bit. Yeah. He was really good at that.
This is interesting. But I want to just point out again that reading started to become a priority because of the home.
Yeah.
Not because of school, because the home demanded it of him. This is I want everybody to the power we have as parents. I always say, it's just like the mindset stuff and the thoughts that we have rolling around in our head. They're right. And this is in my quote, the mind is like a furnace, either can warm our house or burn it down. What you believe about your input and impact on your child's progress could make or break what's going to happen for them. If his dad never put an emphasis on him reading, it would probably affect him throughout the rest of his life, where he would not be probably as strong a reader as he may be today.
Well, and I'll input it right now. It wasn't honestly until maybe a couple of months ago that I actively tried to start reading again. I did not enjoy reading because it was more imaginative. It is not as analytical. You have to think about, be creative with the, what's going on in your head, and that's not me. It's difficult for me to have those kind of images. I'm more of the very direct analytical, and that's why I like the field I'm in now, because I find it very black and white. A behavior happens for one of 4 reasons, and I love that because there's nothing to it. It's either this or this or this. There's no
there's no bullshit outside of that. That's why this is so easy to like. That's why I call it the fluent language of our children. They don't need to communicate to comply. You know what I mean? They don't need to communicate to understand what we're requesting of them. That's why it is so effective. And that's why we can go so far with it.
I used to be a teacher, and it was a lot of, well, he's tired, or he is, he's sad, or he's doing this. And I get it. Emotions have their place, right? But I didn't feel really myself until I got into this field, because it was like, what's the data say? Or what does this say? And it was very like, okay, that makes sense. Or, it happened because of this. Why? Is that true? Let me look at the data again and see. So it's very analytical in that sense. And it made me feel like I was at home.
Got it. Amazing. Excellent. All right. Anyone else have any questions for Armando? This has been so informative. Going once. Delphine, did you already ask? I thought Delphine had a question.
I did, but I think Dorian, hi. I think, but I did Dorian, it was the same question Dorian asked, but now I guess that I'm on, I do have a question.
Sure.
My son he's 7, and he does have words, and we're working on with speech therapy, and it's going great. My question is especially for playing. He used to play with toys and being able to play by himself, but nowadays to get him to engage in playing with cars, like he used to love cars, or building a Lego, something where I guess you kind of have to use your imagination.
Okay.
It seems like it's difficult. I have a hard time to get him to engage in anything else but a tablet or a phone.
No, I see. No, honestly, imaginative play is super difficult for a lot of people. I mean, it's super difficult for me. I have to play with the kids. I love playing with my kids that I work with, but it's a lot of now I when they're like, oh, pretend to be this, I'm like, how about we chase, or how about we do things that I understand, and doing that. But so if you want to work on more imaginative play, I would say, like I was telling Dorian, like video modeling would be good. Playing with your kid as well, showing them what imaginative play looks like, being able to like vroom vroom, or oh, this is the dinosaur, he's gonna eat me, like those kind of things, and modeling it, and then you can prompt them through it where they're grabbing the dinosaur and like touching you, and you're like like that, and being able to and have those models. So like what we were talking about, where we're saying something for him to call back upon, for him to understand it later on.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay.
I remember.
Thank you so much.
No problem, Delphine. I remember walking through a toy store with Juliana. I was excited to take her, and it was like, but she had no interest in any of it.
Yeah.
And I remember like feeling so heartbroken in that moment, like, this is like the one thing I could do, and she doesn't even want anything to do with these toys. And we sat and we played. I played Barbies as a grown woman. Actually, we started with we used to call them our kids, the little people. They had right, so very colorful, and they have different like castles and activities. And at first she would just line them up, and then we'd start to do things for them, So there's a lot of things that you can do as a parent to facilitate them to learn. Everything like this had to be taught. It didn't come naturally.
Yeah.
Then once she got it, she loved it. She would play for a long time with those once she knew what to do with them. So. All right, last call for questions. Carrie, did you mean to raise your hand again, or?
Yes, I did. Sorry.
Okay.
So you talked about your stimming, and that's what our son does. He does do the hand flapping. And I never really thought that it was something that I had to phase him out of. I kind of always thought that he would just grow out of it. But if it is something that we need to start phasing him out of, when do we start doing that?
Whatever you want. The sooner the better with behavior, right? You don't want it to go to affect him throughout his life. But if you are looking at it and you're like, oh, he only does it sometimes, it may go away on its own, but also maybe he's doing it appropriately, right? Like I was telling Charity about, maybe that's something that you're okay with. But if it's something that you personally, as your family, is like, we are all not okay with this, that's a parent preference, right? So if you're going to do it, then you want to start right away. And that's with any behavior you see for all of you guys. If you see something, because a lot of times with the parents I work with, it's like, oh, it's cute, he's hitting me, he's 3 years old. It's not going to be cute when he's 13.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cute when he's 23. So so to keep that in mind, whatever you find that you're thinking about, how is it going to look when he's 13, 14, 20 years old, that's going to be the behaviors that you're going to want to get rid of.
But keep in mind, and this is something we talked about earlier, Carrie, like I know Juliana does the she used to do it like this, and now they're to her sides. We were able to just bring it to the sides. I see it as an energy release. And it's one of the things I don't really care if she does it or not, as long as it doesn't interfere with daily life, interfere with doing program, interfere with doing homework. Sometimes she'll come home. I said this earlier. She'll say, I'm just going to go out in the backyard and play. I'm like, actually just going to go around and circle the pool and just, stim the whole time. But that's fine, because I always see it as something she needs to do. And Armando expressed it's something that makes him feel very good. Yep. So it is something, it is going to be a personal preference. I do believe when it comes to this kind of thing, it is one of the harder things to kind of shape them out of. And it's not, you're not going to stop them from doing it altogether. You're just going to try and replace the behavior with something else. Like one of the things he had suggested was like squeezing the hands together. That doesn't look as it doesn't, I guess, stand out as much.
Like odd. Yeah. I mean, and I'll stress this again. I tell my therapist all the time, why are we going to get rid of it if it's making him feel good and it's on his time? So I don't focus on eye contact. I don't focus on hand flapping as long as it's not inappropriate, right? For like eye contact for me, I still have some struggles, but I look at people in the nose, or I look at, and people don't really see the difference in it. So I don't really ever get bothered by it, and it helps me in the process. So no, it's a good question.
Yeah, no, he only really stims when he's super excited. Like
that's awesome.
Like, when he's excited and he's happy, he's like, and I'm like, okay, baby, and like it's not really something that I would say per se bothers us at all.
Yeah.
When he's super excited and happy, I mean, that makes me happy. Like if he's that jazzed about something, I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. Whatever. But I guess like I was just saying, I guess to me it just never seemed like it was that big of a deal. But and hearing some other parents are like, oh, trying to get him to stop or do this or do that, and I'm like, oh, am I supposed to do that? Like I think
it's all up to you as a parent. Right. What are you okay with? What is your preference? That's what matters.
Okay. All right, well, that helps a lot. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, last call for questions. If you're too shy to ask questions, you can always put it in the chat box. Oh, Dorian's got another one. If you don't mind hanging on, you want to hang on a little bit longer, or you have to head out, Armando?
I'm good right now.
All right, let's see. All right, Dorian, give us your question.
Okay, so my quick question is, so I'm on the waiting list for ABA.
Wonderful.
So yeah, she did have an ABA therapist, but I don't know. She falls under a different category, and my insurance isn't covering it anymore. Mm-hmm. So pretty much, so I'm on the waiting list. So my question is, if they request so many hours, so like let's say if they want to do like 10 or 12 hours a week or whatever you guys do, I'm trying to think of the way to describe this. Can I like say like I don't want to do that much, or like if I feel like it's too much of a strain of, because I'm gonna have to take her probably.
Yeah.
Why can't they come to the house? You don't think that's an option?
It's too long of a waiting list.
Oh, so you're saying the option is that she could go to a center now, or she's on a wait list for something?
Well, it's for both. Like, so they told me the waiting list for in-home is longer than for me to take her there.
Is this the only clinic that's around you or the company that's around you?
Have we looked?
No, but it's the only one that was willing to take her insurance. I called a bunch.
Did you call your
Oh.
insurance to see if there are any other in-network providers?
Yeah, I do believe so. Like a while ago when I was originally signing up for it.
So you have two options right now. Number one is you can go back and restart that conversation. So we got to get crystal clear. You actually have a few options here. Get crystal clear on what is in network with the insurance. The second thing is that you can get a single case agreement if there's limited options available. So like you call your insurance, say, listen, I called all these places in network and there's a huge waiting list, but if I can go with this guy, they'll be able to take her right away. Will you grant me a single case agreement? That's called like an SCA. It's very typical. And because we see ABA now as a medical necessity, that insurance has to cover it. A single case agreement, something that could potentially be on the table for this. The third option you have is that it's open enrollment season and I am self-employed, and as a self-employed, I have to go and get a child-only plan for my kids. Each state under federal law has to provide health insurance to children. So even if she maybe doesn't qualify for Medicaid, she would be entitled to one of these child-only plans. It would be an expense out of pocket, but I'm telling you right now, we just did it for Juliana. It's $275 a month. In New York, I could imagine, I'm not, in your state, it could be even cheaper. This is the most expensive state in the country, but that 275.
No, I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah. All right. So whatever. So assume it's right around the same. So 275, and you don't even, it's all based on income. So if you're making less, it could be down to 0 to 275, and she's going to get thousands of dollars of services in return for it.
Well, she gets Medicaid.
Yeah, all right. So I understand that, but if you're struggling, if you have Medicaid in Jersey, there should be plenty of options for you. So I definitely want you to call tomorrow and then come back to me in the group. I'll guide you through it. There should be plenty of options in Jersey for Medicaid agent places.
Yeah, it's just I had gotten in with this agency with her therapist, and because I'm actually getting bumped up a little bit in the thing because I'm already in their system. She's already been seeing her for months.
I know, but if it's going to take months for her to continue to see her, that's not what's best for you and her. She needs to get ABA as quickly as possible. So call, can you do me a favor, Dory, call the back of the insurance tomorrow, find out which place their network. Did you try Proud Moments or no?
No, I don't even know if that's in New Jersey.
Yes, they are. They're starting to become the Walmart of ABA. So you're going to call Proud Moments tomorrow. Oh. I'll put the information in the Facebook group. Ask them if they take your insurance. Okay. And then come back to me tomorrow after you call insurance and say, tell me who's in network. I know.
Okay, but when they tell me the amount of time per week or whatever, that's like a definite, right? I can't tell them like, no, I
you're
want
a part
less
of the discussion. You're going to be a part of the discussion of like what you think she needs. But I really want you to think about this, because if it's in home, she could do as many hours as you need her to, right? Because that would be the best situation, right? And in her situation, knowing the things that she needs to do, we should be pushing for as many hours as we can. The more hours we're going to get, the quicker we're going to get to an outcome. And Kristen Cleveland just texted, she has Proud Moments in Nevada. They're becoming like the Amazon of ABA. They're buying up all of these little agencies all over the country. And I know they cover New Jersey. I have another coaching client that has them as well. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Who has, I know, just so everybody knows, I know some of you didn't know this was on the calendar. You had sick babies. Armando is going to be back on January 10th. He is now officially a part of the Champions for Our Children team. Yay! He's going to do once a month calls. He may even do more. Maybe he'll do a workshop or two with me. But I hope this was helpful tonight. Armando, thank you so much for being with us. We are ecstatic and so happy to have you. And welcome to the team.
Yes, thank you so much. And I hope all of you enjoy my podcast as well.
Yes, everybody here. He gave a lot of his time tonight. Everybody here, you go and you follow that podcast. You share it with everybody you know. Share it with your agencies. Oh, one last question somebody had, and I thought this was good. Now that we're talking about in-center or home-based one-on-one ABA, do you have a preference?
I prefer in-center, and I'm also in-center. And it's mostly because although in-home could be good, right? You have a lot of stimuli that you are now making that you're now withholding from the child. So you're entering into their home and making it where they also work when they used to also just play. And so that's more difficult. So that separation I prefer, just because they have home still staying home, and it's, you know, still structured, but not as structured as a clinic. And the clinic is now like their work area where they understand that, you know, the give and take, like a school versus a home kind of situation.
Oh, very good.
So I prefer it that way as well.
I don't think I think honestly, this is going to be a preferential question. Everyone's going to have their different answers to, but I think that's fabulous. I love the different perspectives.
Yes.
But everybody, Armando's coming back January 10th. For anyone who's going to be watching this workshop, watching the replay, if you are interested in getting more of Armando and myself and my team, this is what we do. We empower parents of children on the spectrum to do everything they can. Armando said it tonight multiple times, that the primary catalyst for all of the fabulousness that he is today is because of his family and his support system. So that's what we do here. We want to build you up, make you strong, let you know what you should be looking for out there, let you know what you need to do to help your child thrive. That's what we do in this program. If you want more information on that, we're going to post a link to it. And we're going to post a link to Armando's podcast. You want to tell us a little bit about it quick before we sign off?
Yes, I do. So it's called A Different Path. And it's brought to you by my company, Autism International, where I interview other individuals with autism that are doing different kinds of jobs. So I've had a best-selling author, I've had another BCBA, I've had an Elvis impersonator, a TikTok star. So many people are headed their way. It's posted monthly, and a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts goes a long way. So please rate and review it. And I posted a link to it on the chat.
Perfect. And I'll post it in the group as well. Armando, we're going to make you an admin in there so you can post in there as well. All right, great. This is it. Everybody, you'll get to talk to him again on January 10th. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be January 10th, and then we'll list the dates for his calls once a month. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you. I'm so glad we found you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye, Armando.
Bye.
Bye.